MeMonster.
Chapter 231. A few days later, in the evening. Welcome, Master Anything, to pick me up. As usual, Anything logged in. The loading bar on the screen slowly filled. Loading complete. Touch Select. As Anything quickly tried to skip the announcements, a banner popped up with a cheerful sound effect. Surprise announcement! Thanks to the support shown by many masters in the 7th Raid Festa, a special event will be held once again. For details, touch here. After a brief hesitation, Anything pressed the word "here" on the screen. The screen went dark, and a video started playing with a burning effect. Do you want to become stronger? A vast twilight sky appeared. A small airship with no insignia or markings was heading somewhere. Do you want to test your limits? The airship zoomed in. On the deck, someone was standing. Their face was obscured by the backlight, but the figure looked strangely familiar. Then challenge it. The highest glory is yours, Master. Coming soon. With a static noise, the video ended with the man on the airship as the final shot. For an event promotion video of a popular game, it was laughably crude. It repeated the tagline from the 7th Raid Festa and didn't include any grand battle scenes to excite the players. It just showed one man on an airship, and that was it. The first user to clear Pick Me Up, El Cid. The final destination for the ranker who cleared all stages is indiscriminate PvP. A detailed guide followed. Sudden Hyper Raid. Masters, a sudden crisis has struck the peaceful Mobius where heroes and monsters live together. So you've cleared the game and now you're slaughtering low-level masters because there's nothing else to do? That won't do. Show the clueless rank 1 your strength. Show him that life is a real battle. Reward Guide. Massive rewards for the master who defeats the main boss, El Cid. Additional rewards based on contribution to defeating the boss. Various items stored in the Golden Warehouse will be available as clear and participation rewards. There are many amazing items, so don't miss out. Notice: this event is an event limited to Server 2 only. Masters from other servers cannot participate, so be aware. Anything read through the announcement. The event would start early next week, less than a week away. For large events like joint raids, notices were usually posted weeks in advance, but this time it was too sudden. No preparation time was given. They must be in a real hurry. Following Anything's gaze, I scanned through the list of rewards. The way items were distributed was different from world raids. In world raids, high-ranking players took most of the loot, but this event offered substantial rewards just for participating. I had anticipated this. The timing of El Cid's activities and the surprise event announcement matched up. He had crossed the server barrier that normal heroes couldn't cross, and he had destroyed Muriyan, one of the largest waiting rooms. It seemed the headquarters decided to intervene directly due to the situation. Still, it was a significant gamble, turning a normal user into a scapegoat for the event. Masters who didn't know the circumstances might let it pass, but those familiar with El Cid would find it suspicious. According to Yearnet's explanation, Mobius had its own enforcement group. Their main role was to sanction masters and heroes who broke the game rules. However, considering they asked other masters for help, it seemed this target was a big deal. Well, he is rank 1. I chuckled. Anything after closing the event notice opened the official forum. The forum was buzzing with excitement due to the unexpected event. Lol, so Rake 1 was just an event account created by the headquarters? No way a user could clear this dead game. Reply, Lightning 6say. So El Cid registered in the Hall of Fame wasn't a real user? Reply, Neo Esdatha. Probably an event promotion account. I think it'll be removed after this raid. It never participated much and then suddenly cleared the game, so it's obviously a fake. It's just the company's production. Reply, Lightning 6say. I don't think they'd mess with records like this. Reply, Neo Esdatha. When has Mobius ever managed things properly? Just go with it. We didn't have anything to do anyway, and now there's an event. Let's just grab the rewards. Is this event limited to Server 2 only? What about users on other servers? Are we supposed to just watch? Is it okay to discriminate like this because of different servers? Reply, Messy19. Are you upset? Reply, Melt Kang. If you're upset, you know what to do, right? Maced. El Cid always seemed strange. Today's announcement confirms it was a dummy account created for the raid. Does this mean other top rankers might be the same? Up to rank 4, they were no different from El Cid. Reply, Sigan. Top 5 rankers, except Loki, are all detached, but even Loki has been quiet lately. 3 Punch, 1 Tooth. That's odd. I'm a beta tester and have talked to that user, and now you're saying they're all fakes? Would they really pull this stunt on a real user? The company would get in trouble immediately if there were complaints. Anything closed the official forum, then immediately opened the Airship tab. Airship Lucette. Grade. Small. Current status. Under repair 64%. Manager Cattio. 4 stars. Anything press the wrench icon next to under repair. Bing. You can order the manager to work overtime. The manager's stamina will decrease, but the repair speed will increase. Would you like to order overtime? Yes. Anything's response indicated a clear intention to participate in the event. Despite winning a sub-event in the last 7th Festa, not participating in the main event left some regret. There was no need to bring a large squad. According to the reward method, bringing just one person to the field would yield a reward box. Anything would likely send an elite small party to the raid. And I would probably be part of that party. It has come to this. I sighed. I ended up getting involved with the rank 1 way or another. And in the dead of night, when anything logged off and other heroes were asleep. Finally, that bastard will pay. Weir Young, after hearing the news, bit her lips firmly. Master Han, let me join the hunt for that scoundrel. Even if you refuse, you'd still do it. You're useless in missions. Don't worry. If I can avenge my master, I'll handle the oath by any means. Put me in the front. I will lead the charge. That's not happening. There was only one airship under urgent repair, Lucette. Anything was likely to send a single airship with an elite party. Leading the charge was out of the question. No way was I using her as a meat shield. Anyway, I gulped down the water on the reception table. Don't get ahead of yourself and stay alert. If you die, we'll suffer great losses. If you say so, Master, I'll consider it. Not consider, you will. We'll see when the time comes. Weir Young fell silent with a sulky face. If she were a maxed out level 6 hero, it would be different, but she wasn't even level 40 yet.
By the way, Master, given that the bastard's evil deeds are now widely known, shouldn't you, as the head of this territory, lead the raid as the representative of Chachoyang? Niflheim isn't going. Why not? Weir Young's face approached mine as if to devour me. Others will flock there anyway. We'll be fine without stepping in. Niflheim was overflowing with rare materials, so the event rewards weren't necessary. There were no items among the rewards worth going out for. They said it was one person, right? After anything logged off, I checked the official forum for information on this event. 99% of it was useless, but there was some valuable content. The most notable was that the raid target was not the entire Dorado, but just El Cid's submaster, Lascanda, a single person. Most people would laugh it off, but the poster was a well-known master on Server 2, famous for information. I'd benefited from him a few times before. It was probably true. Where did they all go? El Cid had many heroes, though they conducted missions with a small number. However, the powerful heroes of Dorado, comparable to Niflheim's elites, had never shown up, not in the fight against Murian, nor in this raid. Well, time will tell. I'll ride along with this raid. I'll use my strength when necessary, but I'll try to minimize it. More importantly, the time had come. I looked at the opposite sofa. On the cushion, mist was forming into the shape of a person. Originally, I planned to meet her alone, but I changed my mind. She should know why her place was destroyed. I greet the master. Yurnet, emerging from the mist, bowed to me. Though an illusion created by magic, it was indistinguishable from the real body. It's been a while. Weir Young saluted Yurnet's illusion with a bow. It is good to see you safe, Master. Yurnet smiled gently. I found out El Cid's purpose and the reason for his invasion of Mirian. I will explain now. Please do. Gulp. Young's face approached mine as if to devour me. Master, did you know that currently, in Dorado, there are no heroes except for the 7-star Lascanda? I've expected that. Why is that? It's hard to believe they all died in a mission except one. El Cid, no, Lascanda, Yurnet closed her eyes, seems to have used his comrades as sacrifices to break the boundary between servers. As I explained before, a 7-star can perform unlimited fusion. He probably devoured his comrades to gain enough interference power to break through the server. However, he likely lost much of his strength in the process of coming to server 3. He needed materials to replenish. Young, who had been listening quietly, widened her eyes as if realizing something. I see. I crossed my arms. It wasn't out of grunge. It was simply because there was delicious meat in front of him. That ruthless. Young's face twisted like a demon. I murmured, So, his goal is... Server 1, Yurnet answered briefly and continued. After clearing the game, he is heading to Mobius headquarters.
Chapter 232. I organized the reports I received from Yurnet. El Cid, the top-ranked player on the European server, had cleared all stages of Pick Me Up and secured his place in the Hall of Fame. However, he was deeply dissatisfied with the process and believed the only way to resolve his grievances was to storm Mobius headquarters. This was the first cause. El Cid seemed genuinely angry. Though he had never shown interest in PvP before, he now devoured his comrades and even unrelated heroes. There was something more to this. After Yurnet and Young left, the empty reception room fell silent. I continued to ponder, leaning back into the sofa. The sole hero and submaster of the current Dorado, Lascanda, was highly likely to be the same person as El Cid. The difference between us was that he had fallen into the game much earlier than I did and eventually cleared Dorado's scenario. Why is he so angry? Despite clearing the game, he couldn't return to Earth? I brought my hand to my mouth. According to Azel, even a goddess cannot break a promise made on one's existence. The promise Tell made to me during the 2-star promotion ceremony to return to Earth upon clearing the game and transfer Mobius shares was likely sincere. However, El Cid remained in Mobius despite reaching the top. Information was lacking. I discovered he intended to go to Server 1, but the exact reason was unclear. After learning his objective, I couldn't disregard it as unrelated to Niflheim. He used a lot of influence power moving to Server 2. He needs to replenish it somehow. I recalled Yurnet's words. Eating lower-tier heroes won't easily restore his influence. He'll need to devour heroes of higher rank. In that sense, our Niflheim is the best prey. The best prey. Yurnet described our predicament that way. Is a confrontation unavoidable? El Cid had been issued a manhunt by headquarters. He was turned into a raid boss. By now, all the masters in Server 2 would have assembled a strike team. No matter how strong he was, it would be hard for him to survive alone. I pressed my lips together. I would also be participating in this raid event as part of Townia. Of course, not with full force. Even with minimal participation, the rewards were sufficient, so anything would likely only deploy the bare minimum. It might seem like we were just tagging along, but given the high-level mission we just completed, it was an unavoidable choice. We only had the Lucette airship available for immediate operation. Would 2 be enough? Young and I. Even observing his end from afar should be fine. If that didn't work, I leaned back into the sofa, staring at the ceiling. And a few days later, the day of the raid event arrived. Pick Me Up. Welcome to the Dimensional Cafe. Early in the morning, Anything, who had logged into the game, was browsing the internal community of Pick Me Up, the Dimensional Cafe. Recruitment Board. Attention, this place is for recruitment-related posts. The recruitment board was where masters looked for companions to complete recommended party events. Thousands of posts were up, refreshing, as more were added. I will see how he dies with my own eyes. The Dimensional Rift hangar. Weiriang looked up at the departing Lucette airship with murderous eyes. It was understandable. Murion and its lord had done nothing wrong to El Cid. Her hometown Murion was destroyed for ridiculous reasons. I'll say it again, don't act out if he's in front of us. If you plan to, say it now. I'll go alone. You need not worry about me, young master. While I might have behaved rashly in Murion, I am aware of our current situation. I simply wish to witness the end of that wicked man. Clank. Click-clack. The steps from the Lucette airship descended to the deck. Weiriang climbed them without hesitation. Only Weiriang and I were participating in this event. Anything accepted my party composition suggestion without hesitation. El Cid, or rather, Lasconda now. Urnet was still investigating his identity on Earth. Once that was clear, we'd likely understand why he hadn't returned to Earth and his purpose for going to Server 1. Securing the Bifrost sheath to my belt, I boarded the airship heading to the event location. Dimensional leap initiating. A few minutes later, Lucette, now at the boundary of the Taunia zone, began to be enveloped in light. A dazzling flare made the view white, and after a while, the light cleared. Attention! Heroes who are below level 70 should wait with their airships in the rear until further instructions from our alliance. I repeat, heroes below level... I squinted. The sky was painted red. An endless expanse stretched out above and below. The place was shown in the Raid Event's promotional video. 1297th Dimension, Nysand. The vast sky was filled with countless airships, too many to count at a glance, roughly estimated thousands. Including those beyond my sight, there might be over 10,000. You can still receive participation rewards by waiting in the back. Do not advance until further instructions from our alliance. Your safety cannot be guaranteed. Someone's voice had been heard for a while. There it is. I looked far ahead. Fleet formations that dwarfed normal Masters airships, clearly belonging to rankers, stood in formation. The voice was coming from the flagship there. Who do they think they are, ordering us around, annoying? Next to me, a man on the airship's deck grumbled. Despite his words, his airship was reversing. Dimensional channel. 13,693 participants. Ecclesias. Low-level players can just watch. We'll handle this. Melt. So many people. Are they all here for a free ride? Nanarayo. No shame, lol. Over half just brought their bodies here to join in, planning to freeload? If Loki were here, you'd all be dead. Coin World. By the way, where's Niflheim? The server representative should be. Dozens of chat messages were popping up by the second. I took my eyes off the guild chat window and looked around again. Approximately 14,000 masters had joined this surprise event. With all the airships mobilized, there were over 25,000. Mobius opened the Dimensional City content for low-level masters. The raid alone had been opened. Hence, almost all masters above level 40 capable of operating airships were here. The number of participants kept increasing. Of course, regardless of the generous participation rewards, contribution rewards were unparalleled. To obtain them, rankers had grouped separately and were leading the charge, to prevent any oblivious players from stealing the final hit.
Tell them I have pressing matters. No need to step up.
Understood. Urnet's voice cut off.
Not participating in this event was a no-loss choice for Niflheim. Even looking at the reward item list, nothing particularly stood out. Fighting rankers head-on for first place? Nonsense. The ranker fleets here were just a drop in the bucket. They wouldn't bring their real forces to such events. The fleets blocking the front were at best their second string. Naturally, this event didn't feature any extremely rare materials. Perhaps Mobius lacked the time to prepare thoroughly. Thus, rankers didn't feel the need to waste expensive resources by deploying high-tier fleets. Still, this event seemed to have the highest participation across all raid events. Over 20,000 masters were on the channel. No part of the sky was free of airships. Compared to the 7th Festa, which had at most 1,000 participants, the difference was staggering. Event waiting time has ended. Masters, please wait. The surprise event El Cid Raid is about to begin. Participation and withdrawal from the raid are possible at any time, but rewards may be limited accordingly. For detailed reward information and distribution methods, click here. A notification appeared on Anything's control screen. An announcement signaling the event's start. Warning, 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 warning. A 5-tier warning message indicated a top-tier threat. Following that, the event mission window popped up. Special event. Event type. Raid. Event objective. Defeat the ranker El Cid disrupting Mobius order. I narrowed my eyes. Beyond the countless airships filling the sky, a small airship, no larger than a dinghy, was flying toward us. Atop that airship, danger. Conqueror of fate. Las Conda El Cid. Level 658. A young man in a gray wolf fur coat stood on the deck overlooking the raid party. A lot of you have gathered. Though it was a soft murmur, his voice echoed across the entire field. A light smile spread across the young man's lips. Long time no see, my friend. Amidst the countless airships, Las Conda's gaze locked precisely on where I was. No one else ever listened to me properly except you. It feels like just yesterday. You've grown splendidly. The young man spoke, looking at me. Tens of thousands of eyes turned towards me. Are you crazy? You say that here? Sorry, but Las Conda shifted his gaze to the numerous fleets in front of him and began to speak. I have one last thing to do. If you don't want to die, step aside. Of course, the airships pointed their cannons at him instead of replying. I knew it wouldn't work. Las Conda scratched his head with a bitter expression. Surrender quietly. No matter how powerful a 7-star is, you can't face this raid party alone. A voice from the elite fleet echoed across the field, the one who had instructed lower-level masters to stay back. Simultaneously, the cannons began to ignite. They were preparing to fire. Alone, you say? Las Conda murmured with a regretful expression. Unfortunately, I am not alone. As soon as he finished speaking, boom, 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 the leading fleet fired the first volley. Hundreds of shells flew toward Las Conda's airship.
Chapter 233. The sky was completely engulfed in flames. The sound of cannons exploded continuously, scattering the clouds and shaking the atmosphere. The number of airships bombarding the area was not just in the tens, there were at least hundreds. These were not the products of low-level masters, but cannons forged with high-level magical technology, constantly spewing fire. Boom, boom, boom. Simultaneously, the second wave of attacks from the mages in the fleet followed. The entire sky turned red, as if it were a grand fireworks display. Such a fierce welcome. Wouldn't it be better to use these bombs on the enemies of your world instead of me? As the relentless bombardment subsided, Las Conda's figure slowly emerged from the flames. The wolf fur coat he wore fluttered. The remaining embers in the sky faded as if extinguished. Of course, he was unscathed. That airship. Woo-Young's eyebrows shot up. Las Conda's appearance hadn't changed, but the airship he was riding had transformed. The small airship that had resembled a boat had turned into a massive vessel nearly 100 meters long. It was as large as Niflheim's flagship. The streamlined hull, tinged with a pale golden color, bore a flag with a red vortex pattern fluttering atop it. That mark. It's from Dorado. The emblem on the flag was the symbol of El Cid, who had once inspired awe among the masters of the entire server before I made my mark in Pick Me Up. This is my final adventure. El Cid spread out his wolf fur coat. Let it begin. Rumble.
A fierce storm erupted from the hem of El Cid's coat. The storm enveloped the airship and spread outward. From within the storm, shadows began to slowly emerge one by one. The strongest of the 7 stars. There are fewer than 5 heroes with a 7-star rating in Pick Me Up. Each of them is so powerful that they cannot even be compared to ordinary heroes, possessing abilities close to those of a transcendent. They were the kind of beings that could even make the undefeated Niflheim in PvP contemplate defeat. Among them, the first and strongest 7-star, Lascanda El Cid. When I was on Earth, I tried to find out his specs in every way possible, but ultimately failed. Even Urnet's investigation only yielded fragmentary results. They call him a king. I recalled Urnet's words. They say there's an entire world within his body. And then the storm cleared. El Cid opened his eyes wide. Behind him, heroes clad in dazzling armor were lined up in formation. Danger. 1024. Army of Conquest. Level unknown. 1 super-large class airship. Jimena. A world within his body. When I first heard Urnet's report, I had a faint suspicion. If he was truly a 7-star, he might have such an ability. It seems I was right. I narrowed my eyes. These were the heroes who had conquered all the stages of Dorado with El Cid. Each one was an elite among elites, having fought countless battles. Hero summoning ability. It seemed that El Cid could summon the heroes he had devoured. In other words, he himself was an entire army. Once more, El Cid opened his eyes wide. Once more. For Dorado, charge! The heroes of Dorado raised their weapons. At first glance, it seemed like a scene of an army responding in unison to their commander, but I noticed that their eyes were empty. They have no sense. They were merely puppets following El Cid's orders. It was inevitable that they had lost their personality during the fusion process. What a repulsive act, to use even your comrades as mere pawns. Woo-Young muttered, grinding her teeth. Does he have another purpose? I can't believe it. No doubt it's all for his own selfish desires. Please give me permission, young master. Let me cut that bastard's head off right now. Stay put. The master hasn't given permission yet, but if this place is breached, Niflheim will deal with him. You haven't forgotten the promise, right? At my words, Woo-Young fell silent. Soon she clenched her fists with her head bowed. I'm sorry. Just watch quietly. I crossed my arms. The army of conquest appeared with El Cid's command. Undoubtedly, it was the most powerful ability of a single hero. Dimensional Channel. 15,327 participants. Gigagib. He summoned his subordinates, about 1,000 of them. ISSLEAM. LOL. 1,000? How many do we have? If you count the low heroes, it's probably around 100,000. LOL. Rusty Heart. Still, it's a manageable number compared to the boss in the last world raid. That one came out in the thousands. Despite the first bombardment being futile and El Cid summoning 1,000 of his guards, the raiding party wasn't flustered. It was something they were accustomed to when facing world raid-level bosses. The raiding party was reassembling its formation based on the Vanguard ranking fleet. It's not just 1 or 2. There were 15,000 masters participating. And that number was still rapidly increasing. Compared to the raiding party's airships and heroes that filled the field, El Cid's army was just a speck. Back then, the enemy filled the horizon as well. Doesn't it bring back old memories? El Cid said, looking behind him. But there was no response from anywhere. Dimensional Channel advanced. 58 participants. Ecleos. All right, everyone aiming for the yellow reward, follow my lead. I'm Ecleos, currently ranked 16th. If you listen to me, I'll make sure you get the yellow box. From now on, please refrain from chatting and follow my orders properly. Melt. Who do you think you are to give orders? Where's Loki? Ecleos. Loki couldn't make it because he's busy.
I'm the top ranker in this raid. I might be inexperienced, but I participated in the first world raid. Nanara, let's follow his instructions for now. He's an ally of mine, and he's good at what he does. You can trust him. The raiding party, though a bit disjointed, began to move forward. This force consisted of 1,000 airships and tens of thousands of heroes. Compared to the army of conquest, made up of a single massive airship and 1,000 heroes, it seemed overwhelmingly large. Come at me then. El Cid narrowed his eyes as he faced the incoming fleet. The fleet, filling the sky, was approaching Dorado's flagship Imena. Thousands of cannon hatches on the sides of the airships opened simultaneously. The following bombardment turned the sky red again with a terrible roar. Even though they were high-grade magical cannons, they had their limits. An opaque barrier appeared in front of Imena, easily deflecting the cannonballs. It was just a suppression tactic anyway. This was a customary event that occurred every time during a raid. First, they would restrain the enemy's movements with thousands of cannons. Dimensional channel advanced. 58 participants. You can see the enemy airship map at the top of the screen. I've assigned you to different teams and marked your designated areas. Just land there and take control of your assigned sectors. Our group will infiltrate the inside of the ship.
Next, they would surround the enemy from all sides. Hundreds of airships were slowly closing in on Jimena, encircling it. Crack! A large airship, about 100 meters long, at the forefront of the raiding party, rammed into Jimena's barrier with its bow. There was a sound like something tearing apart, and the barrier shattered into pieces. Dimensional channel advanced. 58 participants. Eklios. Now, go! The heroes waiting on the deck of the raiding party's airships all jumped off at once. Like a swarm of flies, they clung to the deck of Dorado's flagship, Jimena, and drew their weapons. Clang! The heroes of Dorado swiftly cut down dozens of the vanguard who were descending. Their movements were quick, and their skills were exceptional, truly worthy of being called elite. Despite the annihilation of the vanguard, the raiding party continued to send waves of reinforcements. Simple, but effective, overwhelming the enemy with sheer numbers. No matter how strong the boss in a world raid is, the number of minions they can summon is limited. Although there might be slight variations depending on the type, every boss that had appeared in a world raid so far had fallen to this tactic. From above, from the sides, from below, dozens, even hundreds of heroes were infiltrating Jimena at this very moment. There were heroes wielding swords and spears, heroes using bows and magic, and others with mysterious weapons. The characteristics of the heroes were highly diverse. El Cid stood at the front of the airship, watching the battle unfold on the deck below. Still, he's no ordinary hero. Dimensional channel. 16,991 participants. Kaladi. Those guys are super strong. Aren't they like 100 against 1? Dang 19. Well, they're supposed to be the top-ranked heroes, right? They're much stronger than a typical maxed-out 6-star. YOLO. Haha, I'm glad I didn't rush in. The raiding party's heroes who had landed on Jimena were being slaughtered. Even though they were level 99, 6-star heroes, the basic conditions were probably similar for both sides. However, El Cid's heroes were overwhelmingly pushing back the raiding party despite the vast difference in numbers. Of course, even if they are at the same level, there is a significant difference between a hero raised carelessly and one nurtured under a meticulous plan and management. Moreover, El Cid had been a ranker who gained attention for his near-perfect hero selection and development even before I became a ranker. His army was on a different level from the ordinary heroes raised by average masters. Dimensional channel advanced. 58 participants. Eklios. Keep pushing. We still have more numbers on our side. As the deck of Jimena was soaked in blood, the raiding party continued to land heroes. When one party was wiped out, the next party would take their place, and when that party fell, yet another would follow. Dimensional channel advanced. 58 participants. Eklios. Just slowly reduce the number of minions. We can hit the boss if necessary. Slash. 3 heroes who had charged at El Cid were sliced in half, their upper and lower bodies falling apart. El Cid flicked his silver sword, sending blood splattering across the deck. They were heroes who had ignored the army and focused solely on attacking El Cid. And finally, casualties began to appear on El Cid's side as well. A man surrounded by 18 members of the raiding party fell, his body pierced by swords and spears. Next, a woman with a bow and a young man wielding a halberd were killed. Asgard, Dazjin, Jaren. El Cid lowered his gaze. At the end of his line of sight were the bodies lying in pools of blood. This is not where you are meant to die. Boom! He slammed his sword into the deck. At that moment, the holes in the bodies of the fallen heroes closed up. The golden armor, shattered and broken, was restored as if nothing had happened. The three who had been corpses staggered to their feet, grasping their fallen weapons. Dimensional channel advanced. 58 participants. Eklios. Huh? Minions resurrected? It seemed the one giving the orders was flustered. Dimensional channel advanced. 58 participants. Eklios. If they keep resurrecting, this could get complicated. Juyan. Isn't it a waste to keep throwing our troops at them? No, it's not. I shook my head. They know one thing, but not the other. El Cid's heroes did indeed come back to life. However, danger. Conqueror of Fate. Lasconda El Cid, level 622. I checked the name tag floating above El Cid's head. The level displayed was 622, but the first time I saw it, it was 658. The level had decreased. That happened after he summoned his heroes, and when he resurrected the fallen heroes, the level dropped again. He's using his own power to activate his abilities.
Chapter 234. I thought it didn't make any sense. Being able to summon the heroes I'd consumed without any penalty seemed too good to be true. The more heroes you summon, the lower your level gets. Which means it's not his own power, but rather an additional ability he gained after becoming a 7-star. With this assumption, everything starts to make sense. I had seen many techniques that temporarily strain the body, but I had never seen one that comes with a permanent penalty. So those who fall to him are unable to find peace even in death. Wiriyoung, gripping the railing of the lucette, burst out in anger. She would have burned out gloriously. Maybe she could have done something when she was a max level 6-star, but the current Wiriyoung is just a low-level hero in the 40s. In any case, the forces of the punishing expedition continued to assault El Cid's flagship like water pouring into a basin. Once one party was dealt with, another master's party landed, and after fending off that party, dozens of raids would advance next. This war of attrition might be painful for mid to low-level masters, but it's not much of a blow to high-level masters. They have thousands of heroes waiting in their lobby. They selectively send out the less useful ones as sacrificial pawns, while keeping their true elites hidden. Once you reach a certain level, it's not difficult to raise a newly summoned hero to max level. The same goes for promotions. Even if they all get annihilated here, you can just summon and train them again. The rewards from clearing a raid outweigh the losses of losing worthless heroes. I used to operate like that as well. Absolute efficiency-centric management. In a way, those guys learned it from me. To me, El Cid and the other masters don't seem that different. I chuckled. One of the reasons the exchange rate between El Cid and the raid forces wasn't favorable was because the morale of the raid forces had plummeted. To other masters, who were hammering away at their virtual keyboards in chat, these heroes were just game characters. But I knew all too well. They weren't just simple game characters. Even those landing on the Jimena knew it. They knew they were being used as mere disposable tools thrown into death. Treat the heroes in your lobby as if they were real people. They will reward you accordingly. This was one of the pieces of advice El Cid had given me during the early days of Pick Me Up, back when it was a single server. Treat your heroes like people. If we do, they will respond to us, the masters. If I were one of the rankers over there, I would still use sacrificial pawns, but in a slightly different way.
Throwing them out like trash doesn't suit my style. Well, it's pointless to think about it when I'm just watching from the sidelines. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Eklios. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Eklios. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Eklios. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Eklios. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Eklios. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Eklios. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Eklios. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Ecleos. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Ecleos. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss. In the midst of the ongoing war of attrition between both sides, even the leader of the raid noticed something unusual. The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate. Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Ecleos. This is a war of attrition. Look at the boss's level. It's dropping every time he summons more minions. If we keep it this, it'll be over. I'll bring out one more fleet, so everyone else, bring out whatever you've been saving. The rewards this time are too good to miss.
The army of conquest might keep reviving no matter how many times you kill them, but El Cid's power wasn't infinite. Danger. Conqueror of Fate, Risconda El Cid, level 588. His level had dropped into the 500s. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Ecleos. If we kill all the minions, it'll move to the next phase. Stay calm and watch the patterns. Patterns, huh? El Cid sneered. The wool fur coat he was wearing was soaked with red blood. Dimensional Channel, Advanced Players Only, 58 participants. Ecleos. Just a little more, and... El Cid flicked his coat. A mist-like wind spread from his feet, swirling across the deck of the airship. Dozens of wind currents coiled and scattered, enveloping the entire deck. Then they began to greedily devour the corpses of the heroes lying on the floor. The masses of blood and flesh transformed into particles of light, which were absorbed into El Cid's body. The level tag floating above his head rapidly climbed, from the 580s to the 590s, then from the 590s to the early 600s. Synthesis. He was absorbing the souls of the dead. Like a wraith, the fallen army of conquest rose to their feet simultaneously. At this rate, his power is limitless. As long as the raid forces continue to suffer casualties, El Cid's army of conquest will keep reviving. The difficulty of the pattern strategy just skyrocketed. You know it too, don't you? To the masters, you're nothing but expendable tools. Even knowing you're destined to die and be discarded, you still rush at me? Is the master's command really that important to you? El Cid said to the heroes of the raid forces who were locked in a fierce battle on the deck. Shut up! If you just die quickly, it'll be over. Acting so high and mighty. I suppose. El Cid's expression remained indifferent as he glanced around the deck.
Dimensional channel, advanced players only, 61 participants. Melt. How are we supposed to beat this? Everything we send is getting wiped out. Are you even giving the right orders? Ecleos. This looks like a slightly modified pattern. Just hang in there for a bit longer. Melt. No, it was your party that suggested this war of attrition. We're all going to die if we keep following your lead. I've already lost half my fleet. If we lose any more, it won't be worth the rewards. Can we pull out now? Ecleos. Mobius wouldn't start a raid without thinking it through. There must be a strategy point. Just hold on a bit longer. I'll end this now. Amidst the fierce battle on the deck, El Cid stomped his foot hard. Boom! The entire Hymena ship shook once, and then thunder and storms began to gather behind El Cid. Danger. Conqueror of Fate, Rasconda El Cid, level 452. El Cid's level dropped by nearly 200 all at once. Soon, as the storm subsided, newly summoned heroes appeared. Danger, Galloping Thunder, Reltea de Gore, level 99. Danger, Howling Storm, Kirzak Delahar, level 99. Those guys. Just as Niflheim has its first party led by Ceres, they were the three great heroes who represented Dorado along with the central Lasconda. Even though focusing on missions was important, climbing the tower often led to PvP situations. In the early days of Pick Me Up, those two had brought many rankers to their knees as Dorado's sword. They may have been forgotten now, but in their prime, their infamy was far greater than the submaster Lasconda.
A dark-skinned woman with a sleek figure, Reltea, twirled two daggers in her hands. Crackle. Thunder began to arc around her body. They said she was the fastest hero. Though there was no light in her eyes, her resolve was clear. To Reltea's left, an old man with a bushy white beard placed his hand on the hilt of a great sword. The man, nicknamed Cleave, was clad in thick plate armor. As he drew the greatsword, intricate patterns began to glow with a golden hue on the plate armor. And the last one, a middle-aged man wearing a shabby robe and a straw hat walked out slowly. Danger. Master of Martial Arts, Don J. Hume. Level 253, where Rung's jaw dropped. The submaster of Murion, who was thought to be dead, had reappeared. Strictly speaking, his spirit was dead, but his body was still active. Seeing that his level had dropped significantly compared to what I remembered, it seemed the synthesis had been done recently, leading to a significant degradation in his power. However, even so, that middle-aged man was recognized as a swordsman on par or even superior to Rygian. His abilities wouldn't have completely vanished. What the hell are those guys? The raid forces on the deck, barely holding out against the army of conquest, all gasped in shock. At times, there are people whose strength can be guessed just by looking at them. If I could sense this from afar, they surely would sense it up close. They would know immediately that these people were on a completely different level. Good thing I didn't join the fight. If anything had given a reckless attack order, I would have fled the field immediately. Indeed, it's essential to know your place. While it's true that I'm unrivaled among those of my level, it's not my time yet. Go. El Cid gestured with his hand. The three figures lifted their heads and began to move simultaneously. Reltea spun her daggers once more, leaving an afterimage as she vanished. Then, dozens of heads from the raid forces on the left side of the deck flew off, spraying blood. In a single move, she had annihilated an entire strike team made up of max-level 6-star heroes. Next, Kirzak swung his greatsword in a wide arc. An intangible shockwave burst forth, instantly reducing the raid forces in front of him to chunks of flesh. The shockwave didn't stop there. It ripped apart dozens of heroes who were descending on ropes from above. Don Yahum, wearing his straw hat low, leaped into the air as if stepping on thin air. His movements resembled a graceful dance.
Each time his short sword flashed in the air, the bodies of heroes fell from the sky. In just a few minutes, the entire raid forces that had been struggling to hold off the army of conquest on the Himena ship turned into corpses strewn across the deck. These corpses then transformed into particles of light and were absorbed once again by El Cid. The atmosphere in the Dimensional Channel became tense. Dimensional Channel, advanced players only, 61 participants. Melt. This is hopeless. How are we supposed to beat that? Every unit we send gets slaughtered. Eklios. Stay calm. We're figuring out the pattern. We just need to hold on a bit longer. Melt. I can't afford to lose any more. I've already lost over half my fleet. If this keeps up, even the rewards won't be worth it. I'm pulling out. Eklios. Don't be rash. There's still a strategy point. We just need to find it. The exchange continued, but the tone was increasingly desperate. The top masters were beginning to realize they were up against an overwhelming force. Meanwhile, El Cid, now strengthened by the souls he had absorbed, was cutting through the raid forces with frightening efficiency. As I watched this, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions: fear, admiration, and a strange sense of nostalgia. It was a reminder of how far I had come, and yet how much further I still had to go. It's not my time yet, I reminded myself again. But one day, it would be. And when that day came, I would be ready. But for now, all I could do was watch and learn. El Cid was indeed a formidable opponent, perhaps the most powerful I had encountered so far, but even he had his limits. If the top masters could find a way to exploit his limits, they might still stand a chance. If not, well, the thought trailed off as I continued to observe the battle, waiting for the tide to turn one way or another.
Chapter 235. What is this? Are they not going to defeat it? They said they'd take care of it, even if we just watched from the back. Other onlookers in the rear murmured among themselves. It was understandable. The main raiding party of high-ranking players was rapidly withdrawing, each turning their ships and moving away from El Cid. I clicked my tongue. There is a strategy. The high-ranking players hadn't shown their full power yet. Only third- or fourth-tier heroes were present here. Surely, among the top players, there was a master with heroes capable of standing up to those three. The problem was the cost-benefit analysis. Even with special rewards promised, these veteran players already possessed most rare materials. There was no need to reveal their full power and risk a bloody battle with El Cid. I have no business with you. Go your own ways. El Cid's voice echoed across the field, making the heroes waver and lose their fighting spirit. He was likely proposing a retreat to their waiting rooms. El Cid's gaze turned in my direction. He was looking at me. Well, if interference is what he needs, there's no better place than Niflheim. Even if he swept everything here, it wouldn't be enough for Niflheim, especially by absorbing the first-party members, each with power comparable to 7-star heroes. The interference power he could gain would be enormous. It was likely that the one he had business with was me. Is it time to go back? I never expected El Cid to kneel in this raid anyway. Moreover, I didn't walk away empty-handed. I considered myself lucky to at least see his cards through this raid, and I learned more than expected. A difficult opponent, that's for sure. Objectively, his forces might be superior to Niflheim, but it was also clear he wasn't invincible. His greatest ability, summoning an army, comes with a critical penalty. The more he summons, the more his level drops. In this battle, he compensated for that by absorbing the raiding party, but it won't be easy. If I organize an elite team focused on endurance, one that won't easily die and induce a war of attrition, I could continue the battle from a more advantageous position. Even if El Cid has a power I'm not aware of, as long as we don't suffer any casualties, it's doable. The first party excels in endurance. If we can wear him down and then concentrate our power when he's weakened, we can definitely turn the tide. I'll show him the endurance we honed on the 80th floor. When I turned my head, Weir-Young was biting her lip hard enough to draw blood. She must have realized the gap between herself and that guy. Even if there were 100 Weir-Youngs in their prime, they wouldn't be able to defeat El Cid. Don't worry, I'll take revenge. I rotated the ring on my left hand to the right 5 times, signaling your net to pick me up. Speed was essential for proper countermeasures. If I returned to Taunia from here, I'd miss the right timing to respond. I had already requested Iseli to manipulate the logs so it would look like I returned safely if the raid party failed. By now, Iseli should be struggling with anything's game screen. I snapped my fingers.
Master, Hero Han, 4-star, requests to withdraw from the field. You can re-enter the event zone anytime, and the rewards you can obtain will not change. Are you sure you want to withdraw?
Yes. Anything didn't hesitate. The airships that were watching the battle with me started to retreat. Even the Lucette was turning its bow to prepare for escape. El Cid didn't touch the retreating raid party. He seemed focused on absorbing the heroes lying on the deck. The wind pouring from his cloak swept across the entire airship, devouring the corpses. He had eaten about half of them. If he absorbed the rest, he would regain all the interference power he used in this battle. Back to full strength, huh? Tech. I clicked my tongue and turned away. I had no more business with this raid. This won't do! Suddenly the sky darkened and a familiar voice echoed across the field. It was a lilting, girlish voice. I knew this voice all too well. I worked so hard for these kids, and now they're all running away because they're a little pushed back? Masters in the old days didn't act like this. I don't know where they've all gone. I looked up to the right. Anything's control screen displayed a red-tinted message. Now loading. There was a server error and the connection was lost. Please wait a moment. This time, I looked to the side. Weir Young, who was about to say something to me, was frozen with her mouth open. The Lucette was turning its bow, and airships moving in the distance were all stopped. A world where everything had come to a stop. Don't you think so, number 1? A wooden desk and leather chair floated in the air. A black-haired girl in a sharp black suit looked at El Cid. She placed her legs, clad in black stockings, on the desk. Her name tag slowly appeared. SSB SHAOX, level 999. Crackle. A burst of static followed. Mobius Inc. Tel, level 999. SSB SHAOX, level 999. Crackle. A burst of static followed. Mobius Inc. Tel, level 999. So, are you enjoying your grand adventure as you wished? Tel smiled brightly at El Cid, a very refreshing smile. Why did you reject my offer? I said I'd make you an executive at Mobius. I offered you a life of luxury, but you turned it down. Even if you didn't like it, I said I'd send you back to Earth quietly. I even offered you as much money as you wanted. You could have lived quietly on Earth. So why? Tel tilted her head, still smiling. El Cid remained silent. This guy. He wasn't frozen. He was listening to Tel's words clearly. Did you get attached to those kids? You were going to leave, but they weighed on your mind so you couldn't? Surely you're not going to say something so ridiculous. They're trash with no value compared to you. El Cid's eyebrows twitched. Tel covered her mouth and chuckled. Oh, my true feelings slipped out. I tried to open my mouth. Or rather, I tried to. My body was frozen, unable to move. All I could do was watch the conversation between the two. I didn't break the contract. I said if you conquered the tower, I'd make you an executive at Mobius and send you back to Earth. You broke the promise first, El Cid. Do you know this is a clear breach of contract? I'll give you another chance. Join Mobius. I'll find you a nice position. You have the ability. I originally intended to give it to someone else, but... Tel looked back at me and smirked. It seems that person is a bit late. Tel turned her gaze back to El Cid and shrugged. El Cid still said nothing. Silent treatment, huh? There's no such right in Mobius.
Compared to Loki, you're defective. To be honest, you only started the game first, but it seems you lack skill. And you're not very smart. You can't grasp the situation. I'm not interested in people like that. If I had known, I would have brought all of Dorado's kids after clearing the game. It would be fun to use them as toys. Or maybe they're already toys? That dagger-using girl, I could have... At that moment, crash! Tell's face, which had been idly chattering, exploded like a firework. Fwoosh! 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 From the stump of her missing neck, black blood spurted out like a waterfall. "Shut up," El Cid muttered in a low voice. Then, as El Cid waved his hand to the right, Tell's upper body, which had been convulsing, was torn apart and scattered. "Ha ha ha! Ha ha! How foolish! How foolish! Do you really think you can oppose me, coming to Server 1 to end us and resurrect Dorado? Even a grade schooler wouldn't think that way." The woman's eyes turned red. "Look straight ahead. This is the end of fools. This is the fate of a deluded dreamer. This is my warning to you, Loki. Think carefully. Think hard." Restoration complete. Reconnecting to the server. We apologize for the inconvenience. A blue flashing window appeared in the center of my vision. The border of the holographic window sparkled in rainbow colors. Dimensional channel. GM only. 3 participants. GM Largo. "Master, you're struggling against El Cid's onslaught. Watching the raid team being overwhelmed by El Cid's indiscriminate invasion is breaking our hearts here at Mobius. Boo-hoo, it hurts so much." GM Sandane. "For those masters, we the cute GM trio have prepared a special buff." GM Uariel. "And in addition, we have some very rare special rewards prepared for you. Please don't give up. Keep fighting, everyone." The rainbow-colored dimensional channel exclusive to GMs, a chat window used by Mobius staff to announce notices to the masters, flashed on my screen. Dimensional channel advanced, 28 participants. Eklios. As expected, they were ready. The conversation of those 3 would have been clearly visible to all the masters in the field. The airships which had been preparing to retreat came to a halt. The same went for anything. A divine blessing descends on the entire event zone. A white light began to flash across the sky. Ding! The death protection status is applied to all heroes in the field. During combat with El Cid, heroes who die will not be permanently destroyed. However, heroes under death protection will revive after a certain period with reduced levels, abilities, and skills. Please be aware of this. As the raid party's corpses disappeared all at once, the wind that had been raging on the deck of the Jimena ship came to a halt. Death protection. If a hero dies in PvP below the 40th floor, they aren't permanently destroyed. This was a system that had disappeared once anything's level increased, but they've brought it out here. This is perfect counterplay. I looked back at El Cid. The issue wasn't whether a hero dies and revives. Once a hero dies, it takes at least a week for them to revive. However, with death protection applied, the hero's corpses don't remain. In other words, even if El Cid kills the raid party's heroes, he can no longer absorb them. Special reward announcement. A very special gift will be provided by Mobius to the master who defeats El Cid. Reward item, Book of Reversal. And not even 10 minutes later, the number of participants in the advanced channel, which is accessible only to masters of level 70 or above, changed. Dimensional channel advanced, 279 participants. The number of masters willing to join the battle against El Cid had dramatically increased. It was as if the announcement of the special reward had flipped a switch. "Well, that changes things," I muttered under my breath as I watched the figures enter the channel. With the promise of a special reward, many more powerful masters had decided to take the risk. The field was about to become a much more chaotic and intense battlefield. El Cid, who had previously shown signs of overwhelming power, was now facing a significant shift in circumstances. His previous advantage, relying on the absorption of fallen heroes to restore his strength, was nullified by the death protection effect. Moreover, the increasing number of skilled masters meant that the odds were slowly tipping against him. Time to see how this unfolds. Even as I considered the implications, my mind was already running through strategies. If the tide of battle continued to turn against El Cid,
There might be an opportunity to strike at a critical moment. For now, I would watch and wait, ready to act when the right moment presented itself. The game was far from over, and the stakes had just been raised dramatically.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.